Hey guys, Matt. The next 20 chapters or so, I'm going to call almost like the Strange World series. This one will be on Antarctica. I was going to combine them, but it is better to do them in short 15 to 20 minute videos. Try to do at least 5 a week. Just get them out instead of, putting all of these topics together into hour and a half long videos. So I'm just going to break the chapters down into smaller segments. And again, it's okay. I mean, like we've talked about, to analyze or to coldly analyze the strange oddities in this reality, like we're going to do here about Antarctica. The main theme is not to chase it. If there will be all sorts of breadcrumbs analyzed, and then hopefully no one will say, I'm going to spend the next 2 years researching this and figuring out what exactly is going on, or why the Nazis were so interested in Antarctica. This reality is some sort of breadcrumb generation machine, wanting us to constantly chase it. So, at least from my perspective, once I present everything, the gigantic list of fraud, it'll pretty much be the last time I chase it. And with that being said, let me start the chapter. Chapter 37. The endless mystery surrounding Antarctica. Antarctica is a continent because it's a real landmass, not just ice floating on the sea. Many people, if you stop them on the street, they don't realize there's actually rock underneath, dirt, not just ice. Now, the utter strangeness which is Antarctica has been fascinating people for about 150 years. It's a land where nothing makes sense upon close examination. It's the landmass where whatever they tell us in the mainstream screams back at us, bullshit! Well, at least to those that are not what we would call script zombies. Because there are so many conspiracies regarding Antarctica, no doubt many or even most of these theories will be wrong. However, praise to the people who actually try to exercise their minds and figure some of this out, or at least notice the oddities. I assure you, the most incorrect notion of what is going on down there is whatever comes out of the mainstream. What are you talking about? Antarctica and the South Pole is just an icy rock at the bottom of the planet. What could be the big deal, you freak? Look, no matter what it is, something very strange is going on or associated with Antarctica. If nothing unusual is going on, why would you get turned away from Antarctica by gunpoint if you tried to sail there yourself? You think you can just rent a boat from New Zealand in the summer and journey out there for a few days yourself, pulling the boat up onto the rocks to photograph some penguins? Try it. See what happens. But who would forcibly turn your boat around, and who could have the authority to do that in the first place? As a person living in the world, don't you and I have the same right to set your feet on an icy rock as the U.S. Navy does? Well, I guess not. Well, maybe because it's not an icy rock. Sure, there are some tours there. You can go there on vacation, swing by perhaps, but these tours prove to regular people all the conspiracy theorists are just nuts. Aaron Burnett is out front, and you and I conspiracy dummies are out back. Wow, they give tour operators permission to visit less than 1% of Antarctica with millions of square miles off limits to we proles? We can go stand on a tiny little portion of it, and then if we go around the block, there's probably like yellow police tape or those ropes they put in the movie theaters, proles not allowed on the other side. Aren't those controllers generous in what they allow us free-range slaves to do and see in this world? You think those tour boats can go anywhere they want? They go where they're told to go. There's a tiny little section of Antarctica. They keep the entire New Jersey beach for themselves, and we're only allowed to see Atlantic City. Why won't they allow direct commercial flights over it? It's the most direct path between many major cities if this is a globe. Those who believe flights are banned because it's an effort to not disturb wildlife may be interested in buying bridges in Brooklyn. Many theories talk about how unsafe it would be to have commercial flights across Antarctica, because in almost all flight paths there wouldn't be an airport within 100 miles, and that's the standard they try to use for flight paths for safety, an airport within 100 miles. That's what they say, or what I researched, not me. I don't think the LA flight to Tahiti, the last time I looked, it's 10 hours over water, has too many airports within 100 miles, nor do the 400 flights a day to London and Paris back and forth to Philadelphia and New York, for example. One article actually talked about an airline needing to stock survival supplies not being worth it just to save a bit of fuel by flying over the South Pole. They'd have to stock all these survival supplies because you could crash down there. What? There have been about 190 million to 200 million commercial flights in the United States over decades without a major crash. So airlines need to stock up and prepare for something that happens about 1 in 100 million times globally? That's like me carrying a rubber in my wallet. Think about it. Maybe that's why they make books and movies like Alive, where they crashed in the Andes and then after a few weeks they just had to start eating each other. People see that and they say, maybe saving that extra hour going across the South Pole isn't such a good idea. If we crash there, we'll start eating each other. So we'll go around it. Why would Secretary of State John Kerry travel there to Antarctica on Election Day in 2016? We're to believe that the acting Secretary of State had no interest in last-minute campaigning for Hillary's crime syndicate? Even if he had no personal love for the Clintons, what the hell could have been so important in Antarctica where Kerry had to go there on the biggest day for a politician in 4 years? To a politician, the first Tuesday in November is like the Super Bowl and the Olympics all rolled up into one. It reminds me of that creepy character played by Donald Sutherland in the movie JFK, where he says he was called away to Antarctica the day of the JFK assassination. Why do they call people away to Antarctica? Maybe Kerry was called there by the alien race that lives there. They don't give a shit about the dates of the fake elections. When they call you, you come. Maybe it's like the clone army planet in Star Wars, but instead of replicating Jango Fett, they all look like Ellen DeGeneres. Just kidding. It's on the table. There could be an alien race of some kind in Antarctica, but I'm kidding for now. Let's continue. Why did Vladimir Putin somewhat recently travel to Antarctica? Perhaps he wanted to see the penguins because they don't live up north? And FYI, penguins are not up in the North Pole. Why did the Russian Orthodox Pope somewhat recently travel there? Why did the media make a big deal about Buzz Aldrin going to Antarctica a few years ago? Why would the old drunken fraud even go there in the first place? Buzz Aldrin going anywhere is no big deal because he never went anywhere. Buzz Aldrin? Who cares? Who gives a shit? It was a strange news story, though. He had to be medically evacuated back to the mainland, and then there were some bizarre tweets from old Buzzed. He's likely gone mad from 50 years of having to lie about the moon landings. He once even punched a guy in the face for asking him to swear on the Bible that he stood on the moon. That sounds like somebody who's really proud of their life accomplishments. Of course, to counteract the strangeness, Antarctica has been presented to us in hundreds of movies and in television shows and all over mass media. Movies like 8 Below have Paul Walker showing us that anybody can just rent a boat from New Zealand, a New Zealand bar, just go in and try to catch a ride to Antarctica. No big deal. In the movie, professors from UCLA just show up there and they try to find meteorites, and you get your little dog sled out and you go find your meteorites. 8 Below is actually a fun movie if you love dogs. It's all about the dogs. Venture there yourself to Antarctica sometime and see how far you get. We've also seen March of the Penguins. We're shown it's just an icy nature preserve over top dirt. It's just some penguins on a cold rock where the ice is melting too fast because of global warming from your SUV. If you think private boats are forcibly turned away from Antarctica because they don't want to disturb the wildlife, you haven't really understood the world in which you live. What's going on then in Antarctica? I don't really know, but something is. Something never mentioned on the news. The best we can do for now is to see that something isn't quite right with the story we're given. And how's that new? All the stories we've been given are bullshit. The two most famous explorers to Antarctica are Sir Ernest Shackleton and Admiral Richard Byrd. The former led expeditions from 1901 to about 1916. Admiral Byrd had a 25-year history with Antarctica that began with him being the first man to fly over the pole, so they say, with the conspiracy all the way up to the conspiracy-laden Operation High Jump that was just after World War II. There, he and another admiral led about 10 ships on an armada to Antarctica. The story they cooked up was, quote, future enemies of America could use Antarctica, and they could even come over the pole for an attack. It's always done in the name of national security. Almost everything is, especially when they take your tax dollars out of your pocket. In this case, they had to come up with some sort of bullshit story because 10 ships going all the way down there would be noticed by somebody. When asked, people just parrot national security. So everybody says, that's fine. The penguin invasion, which could be coming from Antarctica at any moment, is quite serious and was actually foreshadowed in the movie Ender's Game. It already actually happened once, the penguin invasion. Haven't you ever heard about the Battle of Los Angeles? I know I'm making too much fun in this chapter, but it's just my attempt to combat just what kind of pisses me off. Everything's always done in the interest of national security. 90 military bases all over the world, and, it's obvious. This guy, Admiral Byrd, he went down there initially. He heard some creepy stories from Shackleton, and I'm going to get to that story. The Shackleton story doesn't sit right with me, but I'm sure there was a guy named Shackleton that went down there. Other than that, who knows? Then Byrd went down there, and he flew over it, and he probably saw something that was very strange. Okay? All of the reasons they say for this 10-boat or ship armada is all bullcrap. He saw something odd, and they simply were following up after World War II to see what the hell was really going on in Antarctica. Of course, whatever they found, they don't tell us, do they? First, a little bit about the first Antarctic explorer of any notoriety, Sir Ernest Shackleton. That Sir just gives me such a warm feeling inside that his story is to be believed. Look, here's what happened, so they say. And there's a video of it. There's a video documentary, pictures. But here's what happened. On his final expedition in 1915, his wooden ship going to Antarctica, but miles off the coast, got stuck in an ice floe. Uh-oh, ice floe, stuck. Couldn't go anywhere. The crew drifted hundreds of miles in ice for months. Okay. Then the crew made what seemingly impossible trek to a remote part of Antarctica called Elephant Island, where after a few men stayed behind, and a few men, including Shackleton himself, set out for like 100+ mile sea journey in a tiny craft looking for an island out in the middle of nowhere called South Georgia Island. Now, I understand this island was on the map and had been a whaling station, but it's kind of hard to find if you're kind of like literally in a rowboat and you've made your way starving to death over 9 or 10 months across hundreds of miles of Antarctica. That's the story we're told. So setting off to find an island in the middle of nowhere, hundreds of miles off the coast, called South Georgia Island, just using, the stars and your lodestone and your sextant, it's pretty tough to do. But, okay, when the men reached the island, of course, this is all successful in the end, of course. When the men reached the island, it had been over a year and a half since their boat was first trapped in that ice floe, surviving on seals, and just a year and a half. But there is videography documenting most of this. There's even a picture of the small craft being set sail from Elephant Island out to find the needle in the ice stack, which is South Georgia Island. And I'm sure, of course, after 300 days of barely eating, the men being left on Elephant Island, who had a 0.5% chance of living through all of this, they would be really interested in getting a picture. You can go to Wikipedia. They took a picture of Shackleton and his smaller crew setting sail in this like dinghy to find South Georgia Island. So somebody, after starving to death for 14 months, says, wait, let me capture the moment as you poor devils set out to go mad, as you'll eventually, of course, be drinking seawater because you won't even be able to find South Georgia Island. Now, even if they found South Georgia Island, which is what they were looking for, and of course we know there's a happy ending and they found it, but what awaited them there? Dancing girls and large Las Vegas-style suites? The villas that Danny Ocean asked for in Ocean's 13? No, South Georgia Island was a whaling station in the middle of nowhere, abandoned most of the year. So even if they got there, how do you survive? Look, and again, you can see videos of this, but we know how the world works. I want to apologize right now to the deceased Shackleton and his crew if this story is real. I'm going to apologize right now. If you went through all of that, almost 20 months, starving, stranding on the ice, traveling hundreds of miles across the most inhospitable territory on this earth, setting out to sea to find a needle in a haystack, if you guys went through all that, you are the most hardcore mother of us in the world, and I apologize. And someday, another aspect of myself will thank you and apologize to you, your aspect personally. But for right now, knowing the way they craft this reality, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Watch the stories and the YouTube videos about Shackleford and say, come on, man, how could anybody live through this? And also, I'm sorry, sir anything, a sir in front of your name? Surname, no, but Sir Shackleton? That doesn't make him more trustworthy in my opinion. It's just the opposite. But sir does mean you can keep a secret. Regarding the second explorer, Admiral Byrd, there's far more conspiracy. One theory that floats around describes how aliens turned Byrd and his armada away from Antarctica by force. Because I guess the aliens wanted that Elysium for themselves. They're a race of bumbles from Rudolph. There's no reason to believe these conspiracies, but what I do believe and basically know is something regarding Antarctica has been hidden from us, and the true nature of Antarctica is something else, and that's obvious. Now, being the first to fly over the North and South Pole, not at the time, but Admiral Byrd likely did observe something very strange, and his strange comments that he gave after, whatever he said or published after Operation High Jump reflected he initially saw something very strange when he first investigated Antarctica. I don't have these comments here, but he basically said there's a world or a land beyond, a land of the clouds beyond, things of that nature, a few sentences. Now this is likely a truth drop. In this reality, people like Byrd know exactly what their role is and who their masters are. They're able to leak nothing. Now, if the strange comments from Admiral Byrd about the land beyond or what he saw in Antarctica got out, it's because the system wanted them to get out. Likely to get us to do exactly what we're doing now. Let's just return to the basics for a moment. No flights over Antarctica. Kind of tells you all you need to know, at least proving something else is going on. The nature of Antarctica is something else. Now, if you look it up, there are supposedly 4 or 5 sightseeing flights per year, quote, over Antarctica. And you pay $1,000 for coach and up to $8,000 for first class for these sightseeing flights. And it's a sightseeing tour from a commercial aircraft. Now that implies you fly over the goddamn continent. But I found a map, and the route is, it leaves Australia, it flies down to Antarctica, at least according to the map. It hugs the coast for what looks like 100 miles, and then you just fly back to Australia. That's it. Wow. Gee, $5,000 to see 1/2% of a stretch over an icy rock? It doesn't fly over anything, in other words. When one of the planes went by, one penguin looked up and crossed his flippers to give an Italian fuck you to the plane up there. If you're considering one of these flights, save the money. You'll get far more satisfaction by giving yourself an enema. Of course, the Flat Earth community prescribes we can't go there because it's quite literally the end of the Earth. Now, I'm not quite in their camp, but there's far more stock in what they say. There's far more stock in their explanation than what Anderson Cooper tells us about what Antarctica really is. Now, there are others who believe the Earth is hollow, and Antarctica is quite literally the opening to a hollow Earth. Some also say the North Pole is similar, with the northern lights projecting outward from this opening. Now, I'm not in that camp either. I'm not going to spill my own blood and venture north to jump into the hole. Send me a postcard if you're going to do that. But again, I'll keep all this stuff and your stuff I'll keep on the table. I'm open-minded to it, of course. Then there are those who say that Antarctica isn't an icy rock averaging about 25 degrees below zero. Even if you believe NASA's globe model, there are ways that the South Pole could be temperate and very habitable, if not even lush and comfortable. Hot springs alone could provide for this. But likely it's something, with all the secrecy surrounding Antarctica, it's probably something far beyond hot springs, of course. Just saying, even the basics could provide where at least a portion of Antarctica is very habitable. Some say Antarctica could be some sort of a gateway to some sort of Elysium or to other parts of Earth that they can visit, but of course kept hidden from us proles. The Earth could be far larger in terms of landmass than the free-range zone on the Tyson Ranch that we're given to run around in. Who knows? There could be a race there that's close to human, but not human. We're told the Nazis were fascinated with Antarctica as well. Why? Maybe the same guy from the Indiana Jones movie led the expeditions to Antarctica just before looking for the Ark of the Covenant and getting his hand burned with the mapping medallion. Remember that girl in that opening scene, Indy's buddy? She's doing 20 shots against Attila the Hun's grandson. He passes out, but as soon as Indy gets there, she sobers up. How'd that happen? Look, if you wanted me to deliver to you what's really going on in Antarctica, I have no idea. The purpose of this book and this entire channel is we observe reality. We call out the fraud. When something is likely happening that's not what they say it is, we easily can detect it. This is, what we're all about, not chasing this for the rest of our lives, trying to figure out what actually Admiral Byrd saw. Who cares? I'm not going to spill my blood and run up and try to jump in a hole. Who cares? I can work on myself without blood over intent or whatever the heck that's all about. I don't know much about it, but let me tell you right now, every tuning fork in my body says, no thank you, no thank you. But regarding Antarctica, my tuning fork regarding what's going on tells me there's like a little bit of truth in all of these scenarios potentially, especially the one where there is a bit of Earth here that they can go to and we can't. I do feel there are parts that they, quote, they can go to that we don't have access to. I really believe that, although I have no evidence of that. It is simply inner tuning for it. I don't really buy the whole scenario, the crazy conspiracies, although, I should not say that because everything's on the table when we don't really know. But the stuff about the alien race living down there turning away Admiral Byrd by force as he attempted to land on the beaches in his Admiral Byrd versus the aliens Omaha and Utah Beach scenario, and the aliens beat Admiral Byrd back. I'm sorry, that does not resonate with me. Okay, it doesn't. Did a creepy character call John Kerry down there? That much more resonates with me. Who knows why he went there? But I guarantee it wasn't an ice fishing trip to get away from Teresa Heinz Kerry, although one would do almost anything on Earth to get away from Teresa Heinz Kerry. Thanks.